The only politician that I have heard talking about what's happening in Colombia and talking about it as it relates to foreign policy is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who actually condemned Colombia electing a communist.
I just want to say on behalf of the people of Florida, we watched the election results down in Colombia, and we have a lot of great Colombian Americans here in our state who were very concerned about what was going on. And I think the results of that election have been very, very troubling for people that believe in freedom in the Western Hemisphere. To elect a former narco-terrorist and a Marxist to lead Colombia is going to be disastrous. And so we've stood with the people here in Florida that have ties to Colombia. We've had a great relationship with Colombia as a state. We were all hoping that the outcome would be different, but we've got a problem in the Western Hemisphere with Marxism and totalitarianism really spreading. We thought, 25 years ago, the Cold War and all this stuff, and it just keeps rearing its head. So we'll continue to stand with the people of Florida here who are passionate about freedom in the Western Hemisphere, particularly in Colombia, but very, very disappointing and very, very troubling result in that election.
Okay, so not only do I love to hear this in and of itself, this is also really interesting because one of the things about Ron DeSantis, I know a lot of conservatives are like, oh, DeSantis 2024, he's the one that Trump should pass the torch to. But one of the things that we don't know about DeSantis, we don't really know much about his foreign policy philosophy because he's the governor of a state, and governors of states don't typically have the foreign policy experience, or they don't really have foreign policy the same way that you do in Congress or the same way that you do in the executive branch. And so we don't really know what Ron DeSantis' foreign policy is, but this gives us just a tiny peek into maybe his mindset when it comes to foreign policy. And I know it's a one minute summary of what he thinks about this one situation, but he's correct about what he says, that this is dangerous, that it is the proliferation of communism in the Western Hemisphere again, and that's dangerous, not just for the people of Colombia and the people in Florida who are tied to Colombia that he's relating to, but also to our country. And so we have to care about this. We have to ask, okay, well, first it was Venezuela, then now it's Colombia. What about Brazil? Brazil is facing the exact same thing. They're facing an election where they can elect a radical leftist, or they can elect someone who's not quite as radical of a leftist. What are they going to do? And we here in the United States have to decide, we have to discuss, we have to debate, what role do we as a nation want to play in the world?